Boom, coming in hot chinchy on a Friday, baby. Yeah. On a Friday.
I screwed up this morning.
What happened?
My sister-in-law got me and Jess from our niece Amaya matching mugs. One says best effing aunt ever, and one says best effing uncle ever. And I'm drinking out of the best effing aunt ever coffee mug today. What are you gonna do? Coffee still tastes the same. Coffee tastes the same as if it was in
It's all good, bro. Yeah, the aunt or uncle mug, it's all good.
Yeah. Anyway,
it tastes the same out of that mug.
So, how are you doing? What do you got going on? You've been running around.
Good.
You almost got. By the way, Casey almost got arrested yesterday. I went back and watched. I know a lot of us, our fans, listen. You guys have to go watch this situation that happened yesterday because it's really funny when this cop showed up and Casey's like, "Oh my god!" Anyway,
yeah, that was Wednesday. Yeah,
that was ridiculous. Wednesday. Sorry,
that was ridiculous. Yeah, the guy comes over. He's like, "Sir, is everything okay?" I'm like, "Just doing a podcast," but I had the phone on a flagpole. And like I just looked like a creep. I looked like a creep. I'm in the middle, like this is McGee Hospital in Pittsburgh. It's like people are walking in with different, things going on, and I'm in the middle, like, could you believe the freaking Otani? And you know what I mean? And like the cop comes out, he's like, "Hey man," he's like, "Is everything all right over here?" He's like, I'm like, "Yeah, I swear, I'm just doing a podcast." Yeah,
and it's not like you have a soft voice.
I know.
You get, especially when you're fired up. That guy must have been like, I'm surprised he didn't draw his gun on you.
It's incredible. And dude, right before we did our podcast, I was on obviously the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah.
And I was on for 25 minutes, bro. I was holding my phone like this. And at some point you could see the phone start to like shake because my lat was cramping so bad. I was like, I think I'll have to go on the IL with like holding my phone for the McAfee show. I was like dying. That's why I put it on the flagpole. I was like, I can't hold it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't hold it anymore.
Well, we got through it. All good. All right. Hey, we're 1 week away from opening day. We were talking before we came on. Couple elements here. First and foremost, the adrenaline rush of the WBC was so insane, unbelievable. And you mentioned, you're like, I wonder what it's like to go back to spring training. You know better than anybody what it looks like when you get to the field. There's nobody there. Walk us through what must be going through, like, I don't know, anybody, Otani, everybody going back to camp, what that must feel like.
Well, I was thinking this because I was thinking as a player, man, that'd been cool to play in the WBC. Because listen, when you're at spring training, you're doing everything to gauge your timing. Gauge how many at bats do I need? Jim Leland used to say 70 at bats. I'm like, he came out to me one day. I was like, my 10th year in the big leagues. I feel like I'm playing every day. I'm like, oh, Skip. I walked in, I was like, hey, nothing like grinding at spring training. Like I'm grinding. I don't want to grind at spring training. He's like, 70 at bats is the number, 70 at bats. And I'm like, my 10th year in the big leagues, I was like, I think I need 20. That's my number. I don't need 70. Great. I feel like I got a bad hammy.
Did you say that? Did you say that to him? What did you say back?
No, I didn't say that to him, but I did think it. But I did have that conversation with him. Yeah, I go, Skip, I feel like I'm grinding right now in spring training. He's like, 70 at bats is the number. I got to get you to 70. So I'm like, I don't think that's true. So but that was Jim Leland's way. Now, Terry Francona, when I was in Boston, bro, I mean, talk about taking care. I was like coming off the bench, but I never traveled. I never made a road trip because it was my 11th, 12th year in the big leagues. Never took a road trip. Always played at home. Got 2 at bats and barbecue, 2 in Q, 2 in barbecue.
Wait, when you say road trip, that's when you're down in Florida. There's it's like 9 hours separating every ballpark, right? Explain that to people who don't understand. Like,
yeah. Like get on the bus and go. Like in Arizona, it's the furthest you're going to go is 45 minutes to an hour. In Florida, sometimes you feel like you're back in the minors, taking 5-hour bus trips, 6 hours, and you're like a veteran player. You're like, I'm making that trip. Are you kidding me? So Tito really took care of me. And tell you the truth, he was more like, hey, whatever you need, let me know what you need. So the great thing about the guys in the WBC, they're ready. Like if the season started tomorrow, they're ready. They're battle tested and big at bats. Now, maybe some of the guys like Alonso and like, some of the guys that didn't get a ton of at bats, like Will Smith and those guys, they'll want to get back to spring training and have these next 6 days to really get locked in. But those guys that were starting every day, your Schwarbers and your Trey Turners and Real Mutos and those guys, they're ready to go right now. They're battle tested. So that's a plus about the WBC, playing in real games and getting ready to go. So they're going to come back and they're going to back it off a little bit. I think they're going to take a couple days, to kick back and then get going. I know for me especially as a veteran player, I just needed this last week. I wanted to play more. You know, I wanted to, especially the last like 4 days of spring training. I wanted to go 9 innings because now I really need to get ready for the season. I know I'm going to be playing 9 innings every day. I want to go 9 innings, get some at bats, and then maybe the last couple days get 1 or 2. But right before those last couple days, I want to play like 4 days in a row. Make sure my legs are under me. Make sure my body's right. Make sure my vision's where it needs to be. Because come opening day, man, it's go time. You know, we always say it's like going underwater and getting ready, and don't come up until this season's over. You just know the mental grind's about to be there. You want to make sure physically you're ready to go. So it's a great, I think, advantage to the guys in the WBC that have played those adrenaline games already.
Good, great stuff there. I just thought of something that's a little weird. These guys have 1 week to reset their heads to play by the new rules. They were playing the old MLB rules at the WBC for a full month, right? It was about a month at least.
Yeah.
You got 5 days. They'll figure it out. But that is something. Yeah. You know, you're not stepping out. The pitchers, especially the pitchers, are probably going to have to be like, oh, wait, I got to get back into my get on a mound and throw kind of thing. So that's interesting.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah, they'll have a week to do it. And, you know, I think, obviously, it even seemed like in the WBC, Chinch, that guys were, I don't know if they were working on
playing by the new rules.
Yeah, I was kind of watching. Remember Garcia, the pitcher for Venezuela, who's a pitcher for the Astros? They're always like, well, Garcia's going to have to change his windup, how he stops, goes. Well, if you watched his windup, it was smooth for the first time. You're like, okay, he has to be working on that. He's getting his reps in already. So I think these guys, and also too, man, I think the guys like the new rules. I think these players are really digging this, the time clock and the bases and all that stuff. And the shift rule. So it's going to be great, man. It's going to be great. I think the new rules are going to be great too.
Yeah. I wonder what it's like that first day back for Trout and Ohtani. Their lockers are probably right next to each other.
Dude.
Trout's the one guy who could probably handle that. Like, he's such a calm disposition guy that he probably didn't get too high or too low from that experience. But it's still kind of quirky that you beat me. You beat me.
Yeah. I if I'm Trout, I pull the old Ryan Dempster trick. Like, hey, good to see you. I make sure there's somebody out taking his tires off in the parking lot. So when everyone leaves for the day, you know, everyone goes to their cars. Good. Ohtani's is up on blocks with four tires gone.
That'd be great.
Just to, so Trout could get back at him a little bit. But I mean, just to go back there one more time, bro, because if anyone has not seen that last at bat in the WBC, Ohtani Trout, it's literally, if you don't believe in God, the baseball gods, whatever, how could you not with the way this ended? It's just storybook. But I think what the coolest thing is, these guys are teammates.
I know.
And they have to go back to camp and then break it. So I just think it's even so much more unique that they
you couldn't even get that moment thought
forever.
Out of your head. You can't even express it into words. You were just like, they gotta, because it's
seriously,
crazy.
Dude, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, that was arguably the greatest at bat. That was the greatest at bat. That was the greatest batter pitcher matchup maybe in world baseball history.
Dude. Yeah. Well, the crazy thing was Trout's had over 6,000 at bats. In the big leagues, only 24 times has he swung and missed 3 times, that being the 25th. Only 25 times in his life has he taken 3 swings and missed at a pitch. That was number 25.
Where'd you get that nugget?
Isn't that great? I saw it on Twitter.
So it must be true.
Isn't everything real on Twitter?
Yeah. I was talking to somebody, our buddy Lou, who does a lot of podcasts and stuff. I was asking him, I was like, what do you think about Twitter? And he goes, Twitter's a cesspool. Don't worry about it.
That's what Lou said?
He goes, it's a cesspool. I laughed pretty hard when I read that.
Dude, it is. Have you ever seen, I think Twitter has changed a lot.
It has.
The landscape of it.
Yeah, the landscape has. I look at it for news and funny videos of cats and shit. That's really all I'm going there for. I like to see a little breaking news on there. I like when a news cycle happens, but everything else, forget about it. Forget about politics and all that.
News stuff. Yeah, I like the Instagram for more content.
Yes,
but you're right. Twitter knows, Rosenthal and Heyman and our boys.
Yeah, that's great. That's where
breaking
Twitter's
news. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, well, follow us on Twitter, by the way, everybody.
Yeah. Follow us.
We're not saying don't follow.
At the mayor's office and at Chinch
4.
Are you 4?
Chinch 4 on Twitter, Chinch 04
and
on
04 on Instagram.
And you're the mayor's office
on Twitter. at the mayor's office on Twitter and at the mayor's office MLB on Instagram.
All right. All right. So you were talking about being a veteran and when you were playing with Tito and stuff. Now I want to take you inside the minds of like an Anthony Volpe right now, who is in a dog fight with, I'm sorry, what's the shortstop's name?
Peraza.
Both great, both huge prospects, both playing very well in spring training. Volpe's leading off when he's playing. I think Peraza, I haven't seen where Peraza bats the lineup, but I mean, did you have any battles like that? Were you like, oh, if I play well enough, I'm going to make the team?
Oh, dude, I had the biggest battle I ever had. It was more like a Mount Everest battle, but it was a battle.
What?
In 1998, dude, I was, I had just hit 380 in AA and AAA. I was like one of the number one prospects in the game, along with the other top prospect of the Indians, Richie Sexson, who was another number one top prospect in the game. And we just happened to be behind Jim Thome, who was one of the biggest power hitters in the game. So it was like, I remember, I think I led the team in hitting in 1997, or I was 1998 spring training, or I was close. And I remember the last day, I was the last cut. I was the last cut. I came into Mike Hargrove's office. Remember, I had just hit 380 in AA and AAA. I had literally nothing else to prove. I had hit 350 in 3 years in the minors. 3 years in the minors, 350 combined. And Mike Hargrove called me and he's like, dude, we got to send you down to Buffalo. I'm like, what? And I knew it was coming because, I just being behind Jim Thome, and he said, I don't want to DH you at such a young age. You're 23. You can go down, still develop, And then I went down to Buffalo, and then I got traded 2 days later because Dwight Gooden got hurt, and I got traded for Dave Burba. But I remember back to that being a rookie, man. Like, you're out there every day to impress. You're out there every day. Like, you want to be in that lineup. And a lot of times, like for a guy like Volpe and Peraza, those guys, they're getting starts. I was getting starts on the road. And remember I told you when my 12th year I didn't make any road trips?
Right.
Well, that year I made every road trip. There wasn't a road trip that Sean Casey and Richie Sexson weren't on together.
Yeah.
It was incredible. We didn't miss a road trip. So, as a young player, you don't miss a road trip. But it matters so much more, Chinch. I mean, you're dialed in because you're like, I got to continue to show that I belong in the big leagues. I got to continue to impress every day. Obviously you got to try to do it in a calm way or you won't perform. But you look at a guy like Volpe, hitting close to 300 this spring, couple bombs, stealing some bases, playing great defense. Peraza's already been up there, had a nice September last year, hit over 300. There's so many things for Aaron Boone to weigh right here of who's going to break camp. But as a prospect, your goal is to make that decision really, really tough. And these guys are both making it. I think Volpe's making it with the spring he's having. Peraza already kind of made his case with what he did in the big leagues last year, so that helps him. So we'll see what happens. But I think it's a great, great, great problem to have for Aaron Boone and the Yankees.
That's great stuff. I got two follows on that. One, I just thought this in my head. I will say this. I don't know who's going to break camp, but here's my, what is that, premonition? Not premonition. Prediction. My prediction is whoever does break camp as a starter, I bet starts the season super hot. Because think about it, dude. These guys have been competing at their highest possible level all spring training because they're trying to make the team, right? And they're competing against other guys. Do you agree with that, or am I crazy by saying that?
You know what? I think that
mentally,
goes both ways. It goes both ways. I remember the guy last year for the Phillies, Stott?
Yeah.
I believe he was so hot. I'm pretty sure I got the right guy, but he was so hot last year at spring training. Broke camp with the team, and I believe went really cold at the beginning of the season.
It's a letdown,
I almost think, sometimes you're like, oh, I got to make the team. Then you make the team. You're like, oh, you know what it's like? It's like the All-Star game. Oh, you're grinding that first half. Want to make you make the All-Star team. Come out the second gate and you're just poop soup. You're just like, what happened? Well, you don't realize that maybe you dialed it up a little bit trying to get to the end goal of the All-Star game, but you realize you still got another half of a season, So maybe there's a little bit of letdown. But I do agree. You're right. Either way, sometimes some guys are hot at spring and they come out to start the season like Albert Pujols in 2001, and next thing you know, he's Albert Pujols. Turns out he's really, really good. If you're really, really good and you're not just a fringe guy that's having a great spring, you're going to be a great player in the big leagues, and you probably come out the gates hot if you're going to be a really good player.
That's a great topic. Here's my second question. How did you I mean, Richie Sexson's a really great guy, right? You guys got along pretty
Great
well.
guy, dude. Richie's the best. Richie's the best. As a matter of fact, real quick story with Richie Sexson. When Jim Thome went into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, they all play up golf at the place right there, at the golf course there at Cooperstown. And Jim Thome was the foursome. He asked me, Richie Sexson, and Nick Punto to be his foursome.
Wow.
I just thought that's really cool. You know,
Cool.
Richie and I were two guys that got shipped out, but we always kept a connection with Jim and a friendship. And he asked the three of us to be his foursome at Cooperstown. It was so cool. So that was the last time I saw Richie.
Wow. So how did you guys handle that? Were you, I mean, you're not rooting against the other guy because that's just human nature. You shouldn't, you want to be a good person, but at the end of the day, you want to go 3 for 4 and you want him to go 0 for 4. That is a tough part of playing sports, isn't it? Like you're competing against your friends for a job and forget about it. Now you're a professional. This is your career. This is how you're going to make money. This is how you're going to feed your children. This is how you're going to buy a house.
Yep.
But you still have to act with some form of professionalism. That is a tough line, right?
This is a great topic. This is a great topic because I remember when I first got drafted in '95, second round pick. I'm like, oh yeah. And when you're young, you don't know anybody in the organization really. You just know like, oh yeah, Indians, they love me. Second round, I'll be up there tomorrow. And then you're in Watertown, New York, and there's 8 people in the stand. You're like, where the hell is everybody? Is this pro ball? Like, yeah, it's pro ball. You're 6 levels away from the big leagues, right? So your mind kind of goes to a place like, wow, I got a lot of levels to climb. And I remember looking back, Richie Sexson was in Kinston at the time, hitting bombs. Might be one of the best players in the minors. They were loaded with that team. It was Danny Graves, Bartolo Colon, Enrique Wilson, Einar Diaz, Richie Sexson. It was a big league team at A-ball. And I remember Joel Skinner coming up to me. Skins had probably 10, 11 years in the big leagues. And he comes out to me in Watertown, New York, and pulls me aside one day. He's like, hey, listen. He goes, you need to take care of what you need to take care of. He goes, you need to take care of your business. He goes, I know you're doing it because I do it. He goes, are you looking up at Richie Sexson? I go, yeah, I see Richie Sexson. Looking up at Jim Thome. He goes, yeah, I look up at Jim Thome. He goes, don't need to worry about that. He goes, every time you go out on the field, you're playing for 30 teams. You're playing for 30 teams. What you need to handle is your business because you can't control what Richie Sexson does. You can't control what Jim Thome does. You can only control who Sean Casey does. And he said, what I want you to do is go out there and be so good. Get so good at your craft. Get so good at the work you put in every day. Get so good at who you are night in and night out, pitch by pitch. That at the end of the year, you look up and you go, man, those are some good numbers. And pretty soon you continue to put up those numbers. And pretty soon you continue to show up and be the best version of yourself. And all of a sudden, one day, Joel Skinner told me, he goes, listen, be so good at your process. Be so good at developing your skills that one day they have to make a decision. Make them make a decision on you. They're going to have to call you up or they're going to have to trade you. And sure enough, man, I took that advice my first year. Incredible. I went up, hit 350 those 3 years. I took care of my business. 380 that last year before I got called up. And guess what? 1997, I got called up. 1998, I got traded to the Reds because the Reds saw the value in the product that I was putting on the field. Because at the end of the day, when you look at baseball, I couldn't worry about Richie Sexson. You know, and you'd be crazy to think if I'm at 23 years old, wasn't looking to see what he was doing. I wanted to get to the big leagues, but I started to realize it doesn't matter what he does if I don't take care of my business. It doesn't matter. So I thought that was such a great lesson, and it worked out for all of us, man. I got traded to the Reds, went to 3 All-Star games, you know, and we got a chance to be a part of that community, that one of the greatest legacies of all time. Went to the Reds Hall of Fame. So grateful. Thank you, God. Richie Sexson goes to Milwaukee Brewers and then the Seattle Mariners, hits over 350 home runs, becomes one of the biggest power hitters in the game. $80 million, $100 million he made over his career. And Jim Thome now has a statue at Progressive Field out there in Cleveland as one of the greatest home run hitters and hitters of all times, 612 homers. So this is what I'd say too. Everyone can win, man. There's enough for everybody. We don't have to root against people and hoping that they don't do well because there's enough for everybody, man. It's enough to go around, and there's an abundance in this world. And I just think to have that abundance mentality instead of cutthroat, I hope they suck. I hope they get hurt. No, you don't. Well, guess what? If you're hoping that on people, careful with that stuff because I do believe in that karma stuff. Like you start wishing bad on people, it comes back to bite you in the end. There's enough to go around.
I agree with that. I'll also add, when you're spending all that energy worrying about the other guy, you're not using that energy on your own, on yourself. You're wasting.
Exactly.
You're wasting your energy. My dad always said, "Put the Jeopardy walls up. Put the Jeopardy walls up." Isn't that a great thing? Put the Jeopardy walls up. You can't see what they're doing. Don't worry about what they're doing. Go like this. Why do you think? Another example. Why do you think they put this on horses? They put blinders on horses.
Right.
They really do. When they're running a race, that's the most natural athletic thing in the world, maybe, is a horse racing against other horses. They put the blinders on because if the horse looks at the other horse, he's not going to run as fast. And he's not going to pay attention. He's going to pay attention to that horse. How about that analogy?
I'm proud of myself. I love that.
I'm pretty proud of myself. Put that in your freaking...
That's great. I'm going to write that down for my next keynote speech.
Keynote. Yeah.
It's true. That's true, though. Put the blinders on, and don't because if you look somewhere else, that's how you fall off. That's how you they're going. That's how you fall off. So
there you go.
It's the truth, man. You nailed it. And I love Mr. Chinch's wisdom, man. Put the Jeopardy blinders. You know what I mean? Jeopardy blinders.
He's doing great, by the way. He's feeling better. He's back home.
Yeah, he's great, dude. He's home. He's home.
He's home. He's hanging in there.
Awesome.
He's good.
Awesome.
So thanks for all your prayers every day, and thanks for shouting out.
You got it, bro.
All right, man. I think we nailed it right there. That's a good inspirational way to start your day from Sean Casey.
That's it. Let's go. Let's go, bro. Let's go. All right. What do you got going on this weekend, man?
Oh, good question. Shout out to our cousin Shane's getting what is that? Oh, jeez, I haven't been to church in so many years. Confirmation tomorrow.
8th grade, bro. 8th grade.
7th or 8th grade. I'm not good at this stuff. And then
I think 8th grade. 8th grade.
Oh, okay. Back in my day, it was like 7th, I think.
No, it's always 8th.
Okay. And then Sunday, there is something we have to do, and I totally forgot what it is. But I better ask Jess when I go upstairs, so I don't make plans. What about you? What do you got?
I'm going to Cincinnati tomorrow. They got the little round table tomorrow for the Reds, MGM, the MGM Resort out there, I believe. It's me, TJ Hushmanzada, and Kenyon Martin are in like a little round table with, group of people.
I got to talk to. I didn't spend the day, but I produced TJ Hushmanzada joined us on the 33rd team earlier in the year to talk about something about the Bengals.
Championship.
Dude,
remember that when
championship, dude. TJ Hushmanzada might be one of the most underrated wide receivers of his generation.
Seriously, bro, God was a killer.
Awesome. He was like Scottie Pippen. Like he was that good. He was like slick, tall, thin, streamlined. Yeah, nobody could stop him. Who was it? It was him and Chad were together.
Him and Chad Johnson. And didn't they play college ball together too? I think. Yeah.
At that. Was it a JUCO school or
was it Washington?
I think they both played there. I think Steve Smith from the Panthers played there. I might be speaking out of school. I think I'm right. Yeah. Like that was like a wide receiver factory. That place that came out. He's such a good guy, such an awesome player. So tell my son what's up. He's like, who are you talking about?
I will. I'll be like, hey man, Rich Chinchimino said aside from the 33rd team. Who the hell's that?
That's exactly what's gonna. All right, bro. All right, we'll get after it. Enjoy it.
You don't know Chinch? You better get it together.
All right, get after it, man.
All right, brother. Have a great weekend. Hey, everybody out there listening, have a great weekend. Appreciate you guys coming along for the ride, stepping inside the mayor's office. See you next week.